welcome back to the channel. I'm now 1 week into off season. I feel incredibly unhealthy already, which is not good, but I've wanted to run through the race day at Florida. I don't have any specific footage of myself racing. I do apologise. I didn't have the ability to take James out with me, so didn't get any footage, but nevertheless, I wanted to run through a bit of a race recap. It's my first Ironman I've ever finished after attempting Ironman Wales last year. We don't want to talk about that. I've still got PTSD from that race. But I wanted to talk about Ironman Florida and just give you guys the down low of the race, what I felt during the race and how I feel post-race as well. Because there's a lot of thoughts going through my head now. For the most part, I'm pretty happy, but there are other emotions there as well, which we'll talk about a little bit later on in the video. But I do just first of all have to say thanks so much to everyone who was out there supporting on location. I met some incredible people, and I'm so grateful for all the support out there. It was absolutely amazing. If you were there in person, you're an absolute legend. Anyone who came up to me and introduced themselves and got talking to me, I just appreciate it so much. So thank you so much to everyone on social media that's messaged me before the race, after the race. All of you guys, I just really appreciate it. So thank you. Anyway, let's talk about the event itself. Woke up in the morning, and actually, to be honest, a few days before the race, felt really good. Training was going well, but also I wasn't very nervous. And this is what I found: the more I race, even though I'm racing like the best athletes in the world, the more I race, the more I turn up, the less kind of nerves I get. To some degree, nerves are good, and obviously on race day, before the swim, you're going to have nerves. But actually, it's really nice to see that the days leading up to the race, I just felt good. I felt relaxed. I didn't feel anxious. I didn't feel stressed. It was just really nice, and that allows you to enjoy the company that you've got around you, but also make the most of the situation. And if things go wrong, it is what it is. You just take it in your stride. Like, you would have seen that we had a few issues with like the rental car and stuff like that. And in the past, that may have really like stressed me out, but I've got to the point now where it's just like, you know, things happen, take it in your stride, enjoy it, and try and be the best that you can leading up to the race. And so felt really kind of content with what was going on leading up to the race. Race morning, felt good, standard breakfast, fueling, got to the bike, racked everything, sorted out. First race using Race Ranger, so I was excited to see what that would be like, because they've not used it in an Ironman event before, so that was really cool. Leading down to the swim, it was cold in the morning. Now, it was a non-wetsuit swim, which I was a little bit anxious about. I'm a better swimmer than I'm a good swimmer, right? I'm an okay swimmer. I'm not incredible. I'm not right at the front, but I get in the mix. I feel like my drop off when I don't have my wetsuit is quite significant. So when I've got a wetsuit, I'm far better compared to when I've not got a wetsuit compared to other people, I think. So I was a little bit anxious. The air temperature was really cold, so actually walking down to the beach, standing on the cold sand, I was absolutely freezing before the start. Didn't want to get in the water, which you were allowed to do, a swim warm-up, but I didn't want to get in and then stand out in the cold air without a wetsuit on. It would just been absolutely freezing. So I didn't do a warm-up, just did a few arm swings, press-ups on the beach. And then, basically I wanted to make sure that I started right at the front, and I was quite tactical. I started right next to Andy Horsfall-Turner. I know he's probably the best swimmer there, or I know he was the best swimmer there. So I was like, well, you know, start as you mean to go on. Just get on his shoulder. I probably should have gone on his left shoulder. I started on his right shoulder, which was a mistake because I breathe to the right, generally. I can breathe to the left, but for the most part, I breathe to the right. So I should have started on his left shoulder so I can breathe into him and be directed by him. Whereas I was going in, breathing to the right, and then Andy kind of slipped away. And that's exactly what happened. We ran in. There's a big drop off into the sea. So I think for the most part, everyone kind of tripped up a little bit. I most certainly did. Ran in. Then it kind of shallowed out a little bit, and so there was a few dolphin dives, get the heart rate up, start kind of breathing a little bit heavily, and then get into the swim stroke. And I'll be totally honest with you guys, the swim did not let up at all. I was fully expecting to get 400 or 500 meters in, and for the swim to like relax a little bit. Generally, it normally does. Even in 70.3, you have the first 500 meters that are pretty hectic, and then it eases off and you can get into your stroke. Whereas with this, honestly, it was 3.8k. I felt like I was in a washing machine. I felt like I was in a boxing match. I didn't have any clear water. I had feet in my face. I had arms like all around me. I wanted to move left or right to try and get some clear water, and I just couldn't. I was getting absolutely battered. I tried to move around and I was getting slapped in the face. I got punched so many times. People behind me grabbing my legs. It was hectic. Honestly, it was like an hour of stress basically, and I was having to swim really hard. And there was, like I said, never any let up. I was right in the middle of this group, and it was impossible to escape. I was just there. I was like, well, I'm along for the ride now. Like, I've just got to maintain contact with this group. And I was just right in this bubble of people. And it was, yeah, it was hard. It was choppy. I was swallowing so much salt water, which is something that probably affected the rest of my race, which I'll go into in a little bit. So we do one lap. It's an Aussie exit, and then you get in and you do another lap, which I actually quite like, because mentally you know that you're halfway or you're over halfway when you get back in the water, and I think that just really helps me know like how to judge my effort. Ran back in, second lap, again, absolutely hectic, no let up. It felt like I was swimming 70.3 pace, but just for double the distance. It honestly, there was no let up whatsoever. That's the biggest kind of almost takeaway from that event, is I felt like the swim was going to be a little bit more relaxed, but it wasn't. It was literally 70.3 effort, exactly the same. You're just swimming twice as long, and it hurts so much. But I just needed to maintain contact with that group. And I did, and I was really, really happy with that. Lots of jellyfish about. Luckily, I didn't get stung. Or maybe I did, but I was so like, there was so much adrenaline going on, I didn't really feel it. We swim back in, and I think I get out the water maybe 20 seconds behind Andy. So we have this front group, quite a few guys in this front group, run into T1, and I take my time to put socks on in T1. I got some aero socks from Leon Chevalier, shout out to Leon. Reason why I did that, two reasons. Number one, you then don't have to put them on in T2. You're gonna have to put them on at some point. May as well put them on in T1. They're aero socks, and actually there's a third reason. The Bont shoes that I've got, the carbon sole kind of like digs in a little bit. At like 60k, I normally feel it on a bike. Didn't want to feel that, so I put socks on. That's kind of like takes away all of the hassle anyway. So get onto the bike, take a while to put my shoes on, so some people come past. I get into a groove, and immediately I feel really good on the bike. Power's all there. I feel fantastic. My heart rate's quite high, so I'm trying to settle into position, feel okay, get some fueling on, because like I said, I swallowed so much salt water. So I am feeling a little bit sick at this point because I swallowed so much water, and my stomach was in a little bit of pain, but I just attributed that to the salt water. I was like, it'll be fine, it'll flush through, we'll be all right. At about 15k, Magnus rolls past, and he doesn't really like surge past, he doesn't put in a big effort, that's just the speed that he rides. He just rides quicker than everyone else, and he just rolls past everyone. And even if I was super, super confident and a really experienced rider and a really experienced Ironman athlete, I probably still wouldn't have gone with him, because he is just Magnus Ditlev, right? You're not gonna be able to ride his wheel, or if you are, you're not gonna be able to ride it for very long. So just let him go. There's no even question about sticking with him. He rolled off, and our group was actually riding pretty well. We then made contact with this next group. Essentially, we had our group. There was a group in front, maybe, I don't know, 3k up the road. Magnus rolled past our group, rolled past their group, and then a few people from that group went with Magnus, and they rolled off. So we've essentially got three groups. My group then rolled up to that second group, and that created the second pack, so the chase pack essentially. You got the front group with Magnus and maybe 6 others, and then you've got the group with myself, Andy was in that group, and a few other really good athletes, and we were rolling together pretty well. And I was just being sensible. Essentially, all I said to myself was, stay out of trouble, don't go to the front too often, even if it really pisses people off, essentially, because guys want everyone to go to the front, to do their turn. I was like, if I was a more experienced athlete, a more experienced Ironman athlete, and I had more good results under my belt, I probably would be a little bit more aggressive at this point. But because it was like 40k into the ride, I was like, I need to have my cards close to my chest. I can't be burning unnecessary matches. So I stayed quite sensible. I did have a big problem on the bike though. this is this is too much information, but I'm going to share it with you. I needed to wee a lot. Now, I was fully expecting, normally at 70.3, I don't need to wee, I'll just leave it to the run. For an Ironman, I was like, maybe I'll need to wee on the bike once or twice, maximum. I needed to wee, I think I had like 6 wees, which is ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. And I don't know what I attribute that to, whether it was the fact that I swallowed loads of salt water. I felt like I stayed well hydrated before the race, but I don't think I drank too much. It almost felt like I was fueling well on the bike, and I was drinking loads, getting the electrolytes down, getting the carbs down, but it was like it was flushing straight through my body. I don't know what was going on, and it was almost instant. It was like I would feel absolutely fine, and then within 5 meters, I would need to wee very quickly because it felt like my stomach was going to burst. It was the weirdest sensation. I don't know what the cause of that is. So that was really strange. Something was clearly wrong, and I was getting a little bit nervous about why that was. And every time I needed a wee, I didn't want to obviously do it in front of anyone, so I would pretend to have a mechanical. I would stop pedaling and pretend like I'm playing around with something. People would roll past, and then I'd sit on the back and have a nice little wee on my expensive, lovely bike, and then roll back up to the group so no one noticed what I was doing. So I was always doing like interval training every time I needed a wee. But we were rolling pretty well. The front group was pulling away from us. It's kind of expected with the big guns that were in that front group. You've got Rudy, Magnus, a few other guys there. But yeah, we were riding pretty well, and it got to about 120k, and that's when Cam Worth joined our group, and he didn't roll past at all. He kind of rolled up to us and then kind of mingled in the group for a little bit. I then, at this point, obviously needed another wee, so I dropped back, had my wee, and then I realised that actually Cam had gone to the front of the group and it was starting to splinter a little bit. I think people were starting to feel it. At this point, I was actually feeling really good. I just had my 6th wee of the day. I've relieved myself. I feel absolutely fantastic. And my legs are actually feeling great. I've not worked too hard. I think my normalised power at that point was like 290, 295. So it wasn't crazy. It was well within what I wanted to hold. I feel like I could have held 300, 305. So I was like, cool, I need to get back in the race, feeling good. So I roll back up to the group. As I'm rolling up, it's splintering, so I roll past a few guys, roll past Andy, who it seemed like he was starting to struggle a little bit, so I felt really bad rolling past him. Should have probably shouted some words of encouragement, because he was feeling it a little bit. And then I basically rolled up to the back of Cam Worth, and at that point he was taking on a gel, so he wasn't going mega quick, and because I was carrying quite a bit of speed, having overtaken a few people, I was like, well, I don't want to sit up and slam on the brakes, so I may as well just keep rolling. So I rode past Cam Worth, and as I'm rolling past Cam Worth, I'm in the bars, I'm thinking, what am I doing? This is not clever. This guy is like the best cyclist in this sport, and I'm just rolling past him like, all right, mate. And I didn't actually say anything. I didn't know what to say. I should have just said, I'm a massive fan. But anyway, I rolled in front of him. And then immediately what's going through my head is, okay, well, I don't want Cam to think I'm a pussy, so I need to ride a little bit harder. So anyway, I get my head down. I start riding within myself, definitely, but towards the upper limit of what I wanted to hold. And I'm feeling really good, feeling really, really strong. And then there's the next aid station. I sit up, make sure I'm grabbing bottles. Cam and this other bloke, who I completely forgotten his name, roll past. I look back and we've completely split up from the group behind, which is amazing. So we had maybe a group of 10, 11 of us, and Cam, myself, and this other guy managed to ride away from everyone. And then I was like, cool, like I'm in a really good group here. And the motorbike came past and said, you guys are position 6, 7, and 8, I think it was. 7, 8, and 9. Anyway, but I was like, top 10. This is mega. And I'm feeling really strong, getting some good fueling in. My stomach's still feeling a bit funny from the salt water, I imagine. But let's just see how things go. I'm not too sure. Anyway, we keep rolling for the next 50k. I'm riding in this group. I ride on the back and let the other guys do all the work, which probably pissed them off quite a bit. Like I said, if I'm more of an experienced Ironman athlete and I had more race results to my name, I definitely would have shared the load a bit more. I felt really bad about it, but I was like, I just need to get a finish. I can't be too aggressive on this race because otherwise I could just get destroyed here and it would just be so pointless. So next time, hopefully, if Cam's watching this, he's definitely not watching this. He's going to have no idea who I am. But if he is watching this, after a few results, I'll be more aggressive and hopefully I can help some people out. or just help the whole group out, essentially. And be more helpful, yeah. Anyway, we roll into T2 and I definitely struggled the back 50k to get fueling in. I felt quite sick. Again, not too sure what I attribute this to. Not feeling fantastic. Legs are there. Legs are feeling good. The stomach and just not feeling great. Again, I'm not too sure why that is. Into T2 and in the top 10. And I was like, sweet as, just the marathon left. How hard can it be? I run out of T2 a little bit further behind Cam and this other guy, maybe 50 meters behind. And so if it was a 70.3, I would have closed that gap 100%. I would have been like, yeah, chase on. There's strength in numbers, and I think that's a really good idea. But I wanted to be so strict with my pacing, and I was like, there's no way you're running quicker than 350 Ks out of transition. I want to be running 350 to 4 minute Ks. That'll get me a good time. That'll get me a sub 250 marathon, and that'll get me a sub 8 hour Ironman, which will be sweet as. And I'm in the top 10. This is great. And I was feeling good. I had all my fuel with me, electrolytes, stuff like that. Started running, and generally, I was running 350 Ks, and it felt like a jog. I was like, this is awesome. This is what it should feel like. Those guys were kind of breaking away from me, and I was still running well. So I was like, well, there's no need to panic. I don't think I've got people chasing me just yet. So I should be good as gold. Kept on running, and the stomach just got worse and worse. And I got to 15k, and I was like, I feel like I can hold on to this. It's getting worse, but I feel like I can hold on to this. The run at Florida is quite demoralizing. It's very long. I know it's obviously not longer than any other marathon, but it's 2 laps. And you go out and it's like, man, the turnaround point just it's never ending. I kept running. I was like, where the hell is this turnaround point? I feel like I've been running for days. And anyway, I get to the end of the first lap, about 20k. And I'm still feeling relatively okay. Still managing to get fuel in. I've gone through a 90 gram gel. I've gone through a lot of my electrolytes. I'm thinking, okay, well, the plan was to kind of build a little bit. I don't think that's going to be possible. Let's just stay strong. I whip around for the second lap, and immediately I'm like, oh my God, I feel terrible. It literally happens within the space of 30 seconds. I went from up here to being like, I'm going to finish in the top 10. That means I'm going to get some prize money. That means I'm going to get good PTO points. I could get a sub 8 hour Ironman here. I could get a 2:45 marathon. Oh my God, this is incredible. What's this going to do for, sponsorship opportunities, the YouTube channel, everything. I was like, yes, this is sick. I'm feeling so good. 30 seconds later, I went from that to shit. I don't know if I can make it. I'm feeling horrendous. My stomach feels like it's being ripped out of me. I feel sick. I feel horrible. My legs aren't working anymore, and someone's just ran past me, and I don't feel good. So that wasn't great, and it was a very depressing last 15 to 18k. I really, really tried. That was everything I had. That was 110%. If I didn't have stomach pain, I think the legs were good to hold on to it, but I think I felt a little bit sick at the back end of the bike. Maybe I didn't fuel as well as I should have done at the back end of the bike. Maybe the amount of salt water that I drank just kind of screwed my stomach a little bit. I think that's probably the biggest contributing factor to this. And so it's just going to take me, I think, a little bit of time to master that back end of the marathon, especially. And also, I think I had a little bit of time out with injury this year, so my run volume hasn't been as big as it should have been, so that could be a contributing factor. But anyway, the last 15k was slow. I was trying as best I can, occasionally was walking and then just being like, okay, at the next cone you need to start jogging, you need to start running, walking through every aid station, and I just start seeing guys run past me, and I was just, it broke my heart. It absolutely broke my heart, because I was like, put myself in such a good position for 80% of the race, and now it's just all falling to pieces. And I felt almost like ashamed and embarrassed, and I was like, oh my God, this is terrible. Like, what have I done? And I just, it took absolutely everything from me to actually finish the race. I walked past the Hooters on the course, and I was like, you know what, I could just stop in there and just call it a day. I don't think anyone would blame me. But anyway, I get to the finish. I finish in 17th place, which is okay compared, given the fact that there's quite a few pros on the start list, and it was a stacked field, and talk about Rudy's finish. I mean, he won, and it was, I believe, the 4th fastest Ironman in history, which is just insane. Such quick times, it's ridiculous. And this just goes to show like the level that Ironman is now. The space for error, the room for error is so small. If you're not on the best day of your life, and if you're not doing everything perfectly, then you just get spat out straight away. You could be having a good day, but you get absolutely ripped a new one, because the level that these guys are at now is incredible, and it's inspiring. It's motivating to me to see that level, and I feel like I can get to that level. So it makes me want to work harder and get these things right, and leave no stone unturned to get there. But it's also crazy that you need to have the most perfect day ever, and just that room for error is so small now. It's so small. So yeah, I finished with positivity, knowing that for the most part it was really good. Had a good swim. There's still work to be done, but I'm pretty much a front pack swimmer. I can be confident in that. The bike, I felt really good towards the back end of the bike. Legs were good all day. Position felt good. I managed to ride a bit with Cam Worth, I rolled past him for a little bit. Most of the part he was on the front and I was holding on, but it felt really good. It didn't feel too hard at all. So bike legs, I think, are there. The running is, for the most part, decent. It's just the back end of the marathon that I think I need to do work on. And then obviously, the fueling, nutrition, figuring out what went wrong. It's an interesting one. I'm really positive, but I'm also kind of gutted that I didn't have that fairy tale ending to the season. I was like, yeah, you know what? If I got a top 10, that would be incredible. That would be like that fairy tale ending, and it would just be amazing. And I didn't quite get that, but it is what it is. This is racing. Like, you put yourself out there, you give 110%, you're not always going to have a good day. I got to the finish line. I managed to, secure that Ironman finish, which I'm really, really happy with. And I think from now it's like, okay, we got the finish. Now let's try and work on it and make sure that we can actually race right until the finish line, not just survive the last 15K. So that's what happened on race day, guys. Really hope you enjoyed that little debrief there. If you raced, let me know in the comment section below. Hope you had a great race. So for now, I think a bit of time off. I'm going to have some time off from training, recover a little bit. I've got an amazing training camp planned before Christmas with a good group of guys. So that should be really good fun. And then next year, I reckon it's going to be a good one. I'm very, very motivated to work hard on all these weaknesses that I've got and just leave no stone unturned and do more of this full distance. It's kind of addictive. It's the 70.3 distance. Absolutely love it. But this full distance is like, there's just so much to it. I feel like a 70.3, you can kind of bluff it a little bit and you can get away with perhaps not feeling 100% because you can muscle through it. But if you've got any cracks in an Ironman, they're going to be shown, and they're going to be shown big time. And that's what's really exciting. I want to really master, or try to master as best I can, this distance. And so I've got some really cool plans. I want to do more Ironman racing next year. And I think I've got the ability to get fairly far in the sport. I'm going to confidently say that now. I just perhaps don't have the results to prove that I've got that yet. But I believe within myself that I do have that ability, and I just need to be patient, do the work, and hopefully that'll come good. And even if it doesn't, I'm going to give it a go and see what happens. But thanks so much for watching, guys. Really hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one.